pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a moment of solemn prayer for our country and for the town council. Okay, it is Tuesday, September 21st, 5:30 in the evening, and we are in the Municipal Center. Could I have the roll call, please?
Scott Murphy,
Here.
Rick Weber.
Yep.
Greg Warning.
Here.
Rose Jackson is absent. Elizabeth Skinner.
Here.
Chris Chapman.
Here.
And Susan Webster is here.
Okay, can we have a review of the minutes from the meeting on the 7th of this month? I didn't see anything, but I'll take additional corrections and I will take common consent. So if anybody sees, have seen anything or not, I didn't see anything. So everybody with good common consent?
You want us to sign one with holes in it?
The one that should be
Right
between you.
Yes.
Let's do that right
Let's
now.
do that and not
Yes,
pick it
that
up.
way
and take
It
it with us.
doesn't go by twice.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, persons before council, Larry, he's not here, is he? Okay, communications from myself. We've got, of course, Lease is here. It's a Jeep thing. It's gonna be the 924 through 926. I don't know if she wants to speak about that or explain anything to the council. I think they pretty well know what's going on, so, okay. All right, well, we also had a celebration down at the train depot parking lot for the Rails to Trails on the 10th. Very well attended. We had a lot of our representatives there. We had people from our county commissioners, right on up to representing Senator Manchin's Morsi and Shelley Moore Capito's office was there. We had people from the where we got the grant from Maryland. That was the Chesapeake Bay and a few other people. It was a very good, very, very good celebration in completion of what's down there now and also moving forward. I also want to reiterate, without our volunteers, we would not be able to do this. We would not be able to do the train depot down there, the Rails and Trails, the Streetscapes project, the park project that's going on down there, and numerous other projects this town takes on. It's not this council, because the members on this council, we're here to kind of, be the guidance and the signatures and everything, but it's our volunteers. If our volunteers wasn't here, this town would be sunk. So we really, really, really appreciate every volunteer that's been here, past and present.
When we talk about human resources with the town employees and like that, we've got a much wider circle with that, with volunteers. And they are our human resources too, in a very valuable way.
Absolutely.
And, with no pay and nothing but
A lot of
true
headaches.
thanks, yeah. Thanks from us, but they are what makes things happen. So
Yep, absolutely.
they're dear
So
to our hearts.
I'm very thankful. That's what makes this community. That's one thing I like about this community. You go and kind of knock on somebody's door and you say, "Hey, I need some help here," and they step forward and take the cause up and the man hours and the hours put into this is just unbelievable. So I want to really thank them. So they also celebration for the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. That was this past Saturday. I did not get there. I was out of town. I don't know how it went off.
Very well attended.
Very well. Good. Good. So anyway, so that went off pretty good. Like I said, that was probably all I had this evening here, so let's move on to the Bath Development and.
Scott, before we move on, can we go ahead and do the Larry Landon thing? He was here last week and gave us his credentials and that. We didn't vote to accept him because it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay.
Now it's on the agenda. We
Right.
voted to accept him.
So do we have him?
On, yeah,
For
on there,
planning
we
commission,
can, planning
yeah.
commission request for volunteers,
Right.
Mr. Landon.
He did come last
So
time. We could do that right now real quick if we want to do that.
I do
So,
believe he will be a good volunteer and a person who is knowledgeable in the field of planning. I don't know him real well, but what I do know about him, I'm impressed with. And he's new in the community and he may actually come within town boundaries sometime, we hope.
Yep.
And like that, and so I believe he would be an asset to the community, and I make a motion that we appoint Larry Landon to the Town of Bath Planning Commission.
Second.
a motion is second on the floor to appoint Larry Landon to the Bath Planning Commission. Do I have any more? Okay. If not, I'll take all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Yay,
So anyway, this is
yeah,
this is the start. We're gonna build this. It's
There are 5 members.
Right.
We have to appoint. 3 have to be Town of Bath residents for 3 years or more. 2 others can be county residents or
Right.
whatever.
and then one off the
And
town
this,
council.
one of these is now Larry, and one has to be a council member.
Right, one has to be a council member, so. So
it's a
anyway,
start.
we're looking for volunteers, so anybody that wants to come forward so that we can have a meeting, I would hope to maybe be able to start, maybe.
Maybe we should
probably-
ask Mr. Landon.
Yeah,
if he's gonna be
see what
available.
he's up there most of the time, I see his truck sitting up there all the time,
I
so.
think so.
Let's get with him and then we'll see, we'll have to do reappointments for Susan and myself to be on that, so that'll give us 3 on that, to start off with, and then anybody else wants to come forward, we can get 1 more resident that's out of town, and then the rest have to be in town, so, anyway, so he's on there right now, we'll get with him and find out when a good time to meet, and then hopefully we have some other people. Like I said, volunteers again. This is a volunteer position. Volunteers, this is what it's all about. Okay, so we've got that done. So let's go to the Bath Development Authority. Do you want to speak to us?
Sure. Next meeting is 10/6. We are probably not gonna be meeting at the courthouse due to the impending trial coming up. So I will let you, Bill's working on, alternative place, so we're still planning to have a meeting, just not sure where we're going.
No, come down here if you have to. I mean, we got that room, we can have this room and shut the door if you have to, so.
Okay, I'll mention it to Bill.
Yeah,
I think he's checking Blue Ridge right now.
okay,
It's his first go-to.
all right. Well, if not,
Then we're coming to see you.
yeah, I figured you were. Okay, all right. Parks and Recs. Basically, the only thing that was given to us, and I don't know, if nobody here representing Parks and Recs, so we do have a problem down at North Berkeley Park. We got an email sent to me about vandalism and stuff that's going on down at the park. Said, I don't know what we can do. This has been an ongoing problem. We kind of sitting here a little while ago talking about it, trying to figure out what we could do. I don't know if the chief has any suggestions on what we might do down there because we're getting severe vandalism, graffiti, all sorts of stuff, that's going on down there that really does not need to be going on. So I don't know. I know we've been through this before, Chief, but I don't know if you have any ideas. We talked about trying to find a way to put some cameras or something up down there.
Well, basically, if they want cameras, it's gonna be the Parks and Rec, and we come up with a way to put the cameras in.
Right.
There's no internet service down that way, so it's gonna be trail cam. The way I, Danielle, when she was filling in today, was a big to-do about, who's gonna go get the memory cards? That's
Right,
the trail, the
Right.
parks and recs. You know, Hunter, with me being out, Hunter's doing what he can, he does patrol around that area as much as he does the rest of the town. I heard there are people calls to the office, things on Facebook about blah, 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 24-hour coverage. Well, I'm sorry, no agency has 24-hour coverage. We don't have the manpower to post somebody down there 24/7, just to leave them there. If something else happens in town, then they'll be complaining about, well, he was out, but he wasn't doing his job. You know, until we can get more manpower or funding for manpower, I think the Parks and Rec needs to get the trail cam. Yeah, another solution, put gates on there, lock it.
that's exactly what I was thinking, lock it up after a certain
Because
time.
it's hard, you know, I've worked nights for the county, and I've worked until 2 o'clock, you know, come out of there, it's hard to see. If some guy gets your attention.
Yeah.
Or you can't really basically see, you know, lighting.
Is there lighting in that park there to the back? Cause boy, that's sometimes lighting.
Or how far this like,
Yeah, I'm
but
not
that,
sure.
then again, that's not
a
town
deterrent.
issue. That is Parks and
I
Rec.
said that too, with where that is located, I mean, you could drive by on the one side and the other side and not see anybody, they could be in there vandalizing. But go back to what you said in the beginning about it had to be a certain kind of camera.
Since
What-
there's,
What did you mean?
I talked to, Dawn and Randy before, we were talking about, there's no internet down there to really put up good cameras to watch, so you need trail cams, like hunters use, to watch deer and stuff.
But the Board of Ed building is within 30 feet
Yeah.
of that playground. There's no way they don't have Wi-Fi. Why couldn't we just piggyback on their
That's something
Wi-Fi?
that Dawn and them need to talk.
Yeah, they would have to approach,
Yeah,
because
I
that was
agree.
given to the Parks and Recs from, you know,
Mhm.
Yeah, you
the
get the trail
decision
cams,
just-
but
so they need to go and ask the Board of Education if there's any possible way that they can piggyback off of that and use cameras. I think that's what I would recommend, and then get high resolution cameras that can do night work and all that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, you might not catch them doing it that night, but if there's something you can review, pull the film and review it and actually figure out who it is. I mean,
honestly, some of them, though, they don't wait till like, we'll do it in broad daylight.
yeah,
You know, they know it's easy to get, to learn their routines around here. So, and to be honest with you, these kids are pain in the butts. They're not dumb. I mean, unfortunately, they find ways around it. I mean, the only other solution, lock it dark.
yeah,
I mean, and that's gonna keep them out, but if they want common sense, you know, still don't have that issue, they can get them for everything.
Right.
Whatnot. We have the same way with down Bowser Street. You know, they come in there. You have one guy out, you have one or two guys out for the county, they're tied up, and, or they're out going what they're supposed to be going, and you can't cover everywhere. It's not unless you have a big force and there's people out.
right.
And right now, none of the agencies around here can afford that.
Yeah.
So, you know, other than getting the cameras and set up and locking her dark.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing.
That's what I figured, you know.
Hate to do it. I mean, I know there are older people go down, some people go down and walk on this dark and it's cool. But that's when they have time.
Right.
Especially with it getting darker earlier now.
Right.
So, I mean, there are different options, but you're gonna have to.
Well, we're just gonna have to let the Parks and Rec know, basically, they're gonna have to do it. Lisa, you have an idea?
Would, idea, as long as the Board of Ed would agree to it, the cameras, if they're, because then you have to worry about the kids busting up the cameras. If they'd be willing to let the mount the cameras on the top of the Board of Ed building on the back, tie into their internet, and you can do it wirelessly. And then honestly, with the live feed, you guys could actually have access to those cameras in real time. Someone calls in or you just want to poke around, because you can't be everywhere at the same time. You cannot. But it would actually allow you access to actually check it out, look at it, pull it up on your screen. You just have to buy a better camera if you're going to put it in the back of the Board of Ed, because the resolution is going to have to be higher. And it would also record. So that would be an idea.
I think what we need to do is possibly write to Parks and Recs a letter basically stating, I mean, this is just my suggestion, write them a letter and basically state that, maybe they can talk to the Board of Education, see if the Board of Ed can help them out. But they're going to have to control who's going in and out of there, either suggest cameras or suggest putting a better fence up and locking it at dusk. So, but, fences aren't 100% deterrent of keeping people out either,
That'll help.
So it might help, but it's not 100%. But I think we need to basically
Are there
say,
gates that can be locked all the way around up over there?
no,
I don't think so.
no, they have to put fence up to the far side. There's a small 6-foot fence there, I think, or a 4-foot fence, but not you're gonna need a 10-foot fence all the way around there to keep people.
I think a lot of it's happening during the daytime, as
Right,
she and I both, when we were down there, it was during the daytime, whenever we saw, young kids that were tearing stuff up.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's when, you guys are down there, you're gonna call in, because right now, like I said, with me being out, I have Officer Ray out coming out in the evenings, cover the evenings, so, we definitely we need calls when it's happening. So
Yeah,
we
we
gotta
need,
catch them and not
if
after.
your eyes are on it, call 911 and just say, I'm at the park, North Berkeley Park, and there's people down here, vandalizing the equipment or vandalizing or doing something. At least report it,
Snap a picture.
or snap a
Yeah.
picture. You got a camera, if you can get a picture of who it is so that we can, get a visual. And I know a lot of people kind of don't want to do that because they don't want to get, but I mean, it's going to take a community to also help police it. The community's going to have to step up like these, community watches and stuff. If you see something going on, if you can get information, if you can get a picture, if you can get a vehicle, if they're in a vehicle, anything like that that can help the police department track down who it is.
I know it's a difficult time for policing like this, but, I don't know if it's even possible or allowed anymore, but we used to have reserves that would just ride around town and look at people's property and just kind of be an extra set of eyes for the police and like that. I know policing is very difficult right now, and to get people to sign up to want to do it, to get paid is hard enough, much less asking for volunteers at this time, but sometimes, the neighborhood watch kind of.
Yeah, I think right now, I think if we can get citizens to step up and if you see something going on, I mean, if you think it's something and it's not, it's better, if you can get a picture of it or report it. I mean, a lot of people, like I said, don't want to get involved, but it's the only way that we're probably going to be able to police this is people that actually use the park. If you see something going on, let them know immediately. I mean, that way we can try to catch whoever it is doing it.
That blows my mind, these are children's things, and
I
it's
know.
so graphic what they're putting
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, the pictures that I saw. I'm like, but this is the era that we're in, that, it's just,
I don't know, but I believe in my heart, some of that same group is who took spray cans through the town a couple months
A
ago.
lot of times it's the same group of people that's down there. I live right around the
I
corner,
kind
so
of
it's-
recognize certain things.
so like I said,
you know.
if you go by there, if you're just driving by there and something weird you think's going on.
Yeah.
If you can get a picture or whatever, or get a vehicle tag number or whatever, if they're in a vehicle and down there goofing around, and report it immediately. Call 911, give them the information and say, I was just there and this is going on. I mean, we might not catch them, but with your help and people that live around there or people that use that park can help us out, we might be able to get them.
What can be done about, I have more of a safety concern right now with the play equipment. So what can be done about that, or
Well,
do
you
you
have
have
to talk to
contact?
Parks and Rec. They're gonna have to, that's their park.
Right. I mean, because I mean, that hole in one of those bubbles is big enough for my child to
I
fall
know.
through.
I looked at it the other
And
day.
there's screws hanging out of it,
Yeah.
like it's very.
And they need to hire somebody to go down and repair that.
Okay.
That is Park and Rec. That's what we gave them a donation to get equipment like that.
Okay. Yeah, the equipment's not old.
Right, and so they need to maintain that equipment, you know, so,
And there was talk back when they first put that in about getting cameras for this very reason.
yeah,
and I don't think
they had
anything-
talked about it,
So
but
there never was cameras.
no,
That's what,
No,
there was,
no.
okay.
There was talk about it when
they
first
talked
put
about
in,
it, but they never went any farther, so.
When kids
So-
do get caught, is there a way to have them do community service and make them go down there and clean up their?
Well, it depends on whoever gets them.
Yeah, we catch them with destruction of property and stuff, it goes through master, or it will come through town court, and that could be part of the, restitution and their sentence, community service.
With pictures for all their premises sake.
You know, something else too, we have here on our agenda, their next meeting is October the 20th, but I think that they meet every third Wednesday, which tomorrow evening, you may want to check. Tomorrow evening, they usually meet at 7 o'clock in the courthouse. I think it's the third Wednesday, so they may be meeting tomorrow evening in the courthouse. Now, we have October's meeting down here, so I don't know.
What time will that
Usually
be?
it's
7
the-
o'clock.
the third Wednesday of
7
the
o'clock.
month
Okay.
at 7 at the courthouse. So maybe some of us ought to attend that too. It's in our jurisdiction, however, it's,
Well, they're to come to the plate and understand that if the equipment is to the point where it's not safe, then they need to take it out of service.
Right.
Whether they put up something around it to block it off or whatever, but that's their responsibility. They should have somebody going around and maintaining that stuff. Because even with the vandalism, there's other issues that come up. That stuff should be inspected every couple months, I would think.
I mean, there must be somebody that fixes parts of it because the first set of equipment, there's been steps ripped off of it and the body's been torn up and now it's fixed. So there's somebody that's doing something, but I
Yeah.
don't know who.
So, but the neighborhood's gonna be where you all that use that park with your kids are going to be basically be our eyes and let us know what's going on, because just like the chief announced, can't be everywhere. I mean, they might be in the north end taking care of something, or the south end, and they're in the north end doing it. Because it's not hard for them to figure out where these guys are at, so,
you know, another
October
thing.
20th. October this Sunday is the next meeting.
yeah,
Oh, it is, so there's not,
Third Wednesday was the 15th.
yeah.
okay.
So,
okay.
yeah, we need to see if we can make a,
No, another thing down there is
Yeah.
dog care.
Danielle, is she
People let their
watching
dogs,
this?
No, I was asked for that.
okay, people let their dogs,
Well, we
that's
need-
another whole thing.
they
but
need
it's-
to police
it's-
that too. It's their baby. They need to send somebody in there every couple of days to take care of that, if that's the issue. But like I said, you all are gonna be our eyes if you can help us out, and we'll figure out who it is. So, and people talk too, so you can
Oh,
listen.
sure.
So, you never know when somebody's gonna say, well, I was da 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 da. And, so, anyway, any help that we can get from the public, you guys down that way, please call 911 and let us know. Okay? Okay. All right, planning commission, we've already gone through that request for volunteers. Anybody that would like to step up to the plate, I would really appreciate it, because I want to get that back up and running. Rails and trails.
Presumably you all got the 2-pager nothing like having a conversation with Gary Gurley and our school that produced content.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Normally we'd have our rail trail meeting on the 4th Wednesday, which would be tomorrow. But as of now, I haven't heard from the commissioners as to whether they want one or not, so there's not gonna be one. The only thing going on there is waiting for DOH to send in the funding agreement for the trail itself. We're done with parcel 3. We have our deed is recorded at the county, and we'll put together a letter and email for you to send that personally to Gary Gray. Because I mentioned that to him last Friday, and he said, yes, he's happy about it. I can't believe they were holding anything up as a result of that. That's totally unprofessional. I'll try to get a contact of that in streetscape, I noticed they moved the Connex box. So the only thing left down on the town lot is a pickup truck. And I don't know whose that is.
Yeah.
It's a black pickup truck.
It's one of theirs, cause they
I
were
thought it
blocking the door with it.
Yeah, I thought it was theirs, but.
Yeah.
They'd like to donate it to the town, we'd be happy to
Is that, yeah.
accept the donation.
Find out if
Since they're too
I'll-
long, we'll
I'll
call
ask
it.
him if that was a donation. And then I found, I guess Brayley and Company wanna come down and see the end of the project. They make routine runs through the panhandle, so I told them to contact me, I'll need to go up on the project, but as far as I'm concerned, it's done.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from JP, now I'm gonna go find out how much it costs. Don't wait on that answer.
Right.
I think it's gonna be a long time. The other live thing, two things, on Streetscape, it appears they're in the middle of changing how the design is funded. Remember the day when they say, we're the state, we'll take your design? Well, they discovered that was not a great idea in terms of their money. So it looks like, and I heard this from Jeff Gola and also from Braylon about, they're gonna turn the design back to the sponsors. We'll figure out where's the grant for that. We do have one for phase 5, which I've already dropped on the table to say, we're gonna need drawings for 4B, which we may get a grant for. So we're kind of stuck in the middle on that, but it looks like that may happen. And we talked to Rebecca about that, and she thought that was a darn good idea.
Yeah,
To
really.
Send it back to sponsors.
Yeah.
We would not have to go through the state
Everything that
selection.
we've gone
We
through.
may or may not want to keep Thrasher or not. We would go solicit ourselves for a qualified thing, and then it's the 80-20 match again on the.
Right.
So we may be able to actually do better with that because the designer would then work for the town.
Right.
Which is
Instead
a
of the
lot
state.
better answer than just being in the middle. So that's yet to come. You don't, in policy, you find that by somebody like me writing down a phone call. I sent this exact document to Brayley and Mark saying, this is my understanding. Hold on a second. The park, I talked with Pete Gordon, what I'm trying to do on the state park is to develop a punch list. When this is done, then we are done. And I'm down to, let me see the final drawings, let's see the updated estimate, which is not gonna be pretty, because it takes into account the business environment that got us caught on phase 4A. So we're gonna see, I've got Pete, agreeing that he's gonna put the whole 95.2 on the table for the match, for the consumer all grant. All of which makes the funding agreement you got dated 4 June still valid. And when we get through all these wickets and check off the punch list, we'll be back. We need a resolution, and then you get to sign the funding agreement, and then you get a check for 95.2 from the foundation, which you can promptly mail to the village. I can't tell you how far that off that is, but to me, it's 2 weeks. It's not days, it's weeks, and 8 months.
Right.
So I can't believe that it would take that long. So that's it. That's right.
Did you still not get a response about paving?
No, I
5.2 and
Yeah, I got it.
tying it into Congress?
I got absolute.
Sorry.
So I'm gonna go try.
That's what I think.
I tried
I
twice.
read it this morning, I thought maybe.
I tried. I don't think I need to go through it. Invade space. All right. I got it.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Train Depot, we're out to bid, or request for bids, I guess. Sealed bids should be in by the 1st of November.
No, October. It's very short.
October, I'm
It's
sorry,
something
October.
You really have to watch
Yep.
this, so let's pray that they come in at a reasonable
Right.
amount of money, because let's just do it.
Yeah. If not, then we're gonna be in the same situation we were with streetscapes, so
Yes.
we'll have to figure that out as
Do you
it
have
goes along.
a time on that bid opening? Is it 1 p.m.? Do you have the time?
I don't remember.
Okay.
All right. Landmark Commission, do you have any updates?
The update we have on that is Brian McBain has sent everything certified mail to SHPO, and he has got a confirmation that he received everything.
Okay.
So the next step is them reimbursing HLC and then HLC reimbursing.
Okay. Good deal.
That should be just about wrapped up.
Good deal. All right,
Thank you.
thanks, yeah, for taking point lead on that, I really appreciate it. Clerk and recorder's report, Madam Clerk, do you have anything? Madam Clerk?
No, not recorder wise.
Okay. All right, let's move on to finance, please.
Okay, the finance committee met, yesterday at 4 p.m. The entire committee was there, as was Chris Chapman. And I have a few things that we talked about. The majority of the meeting, I'm gonna leave to the department heads or the chairman, the cemetery committee and the grant committee, things that we talked about. We did talk about the building process and the effect on ad valorem tax. I'm glad to see that it's moving, the ordinances are moving in a direction that will allow us to comply with everything that the tax assessor needs to have. The auditor's training, we finally got somewhat of an agenda today, but it is on October the 26th. It'll be in Martinsburg at the Holiday Inn. There's at 10, I would say 8 a.m. until 9 a.m. registration. The classes and seminar goes on until approximately 4 p.m. There's a break for lunch that's provided. Then there is another section of this that we understand. I don't see it in this letter though, that from 6 until 7:30 or something like that. I mean, it's a lot, but it's updates on the American Rescue Plan Act, single audits, internal controls, fraud, budget, and all kinds of stuff. If you have an interest, we do have until October the 18th to register, but and they're expecting about 50 people, I believe, but we haven't sent ours in yet, so it's not till October the 18th that we have to get it in, so this isn't last call, but it's something to think about, because it will be a commitment of pretty much that whole day.
Yeah.
You know, but they are good.
Good class.
I've never failed to learn, but
Yeah.
it's a lot. And
Good
it's,
classes, a lot of information thrown at you, but they give you handouts and everything else that you can review. And if anybody has been there or if anybody wants to go, see Sharon and we'll get signed up.
it really rules.
Yeah,
They know.
yeah, and they can answer questions, anything that council members might have, our clerk may have, and they are right on the, right there. They most of the time have an answer for you. If they don't, if they go to break, they'll most of the time come back, they have the answer. So yeah, I would suggest anybody that's thinking about it, get signed up for that class.
Also, we're able to review the bills today. We didn't know if that would be available to us or not, but Sharon did get those for us. So Greg, you have them over there. If you want to read them off to us.
All right, so the payment bills here. I'd like to make a motion to pay the town of Bath bill in the amount of $24,717.94.
Okay, I have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the town of Bath bills in the amount of $24,717.94. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Passes.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to pay the Berkeley Springs water bill in the amount of $55,887.95.
Have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the Berkeley Springs water work bills in the amount of $55,887.95. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the streetscape bill in the amount of $54.26.
Second.
Second, all right. I have a motion, a second on the floor to pay the streetscapes bills in the amount of $54.26. Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the rail and trail bill in the amount of $9,707.
Have a motion on the floor to pay the rails and trails bill for $9,707 even. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
I do want to also say that we are looking into the workers' comp issue and we may be able to find some less expensive companies that will get us, good service and like that. Not that we don't have good service now, but we're always looking to save, and I consider that the main job for us. And speaking of savings, gas expense is really up. I know a lot of it can't be helped, but I'm telling you, with the gas prices going up, it's a thing. So it's seeing the difference. So, anyway, we look at every single bill.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the tree board.
We have a meeting tomorrow,
Okay.
and I guess the most important thing at this point is the tree planting in Greenway Cemetery on May 5th, which the tree board is assisting us with, sponsored by the Capen Institute. And otherwise, I'm not sure what's on the agenda. We do have a meeting tomorrow. I will report back at our next meeting.
All right. Okay. Grant?
All right, so besides the HLC grant that we talked about, we discussed a little bit about the ARP grant. And we're trying to figure out exactly.
Karen was gonna pull some, information together for us. That we would then present in, at its October meeting, and then report from there. So, if the ad hoc committee did meet on September 10th, and we discussed, the rules around the money and, what the intent, is with, seems to be from the state in terms of how we use the money. So I'd say we have preliminary things that Sharon is kind of looking to make sure we're square on, and then we'll report to the finance committee about those.
Do you have the next meeting set? Do you have if you don't have anything, that's.
No,
okay.
we don't
I'm
have a
just
next
wondering.
meeting
Okay.
set. If we do, we'll report at the next council meeting for October, but at this point, there's not a meeting scheduled.
Anything else?
That's everything else.
Okay. All right, thank you. Public safety.
We spent our time today, since Rose is not here, discussing the North Berkeley playground, but it's already been discussed here.
Right.
Pretty much the same thing we brought up in the meeting.
Okay.
So I was bombarded with even more questions today. So I have one that says, who will be responsible if individuals, not shop people, in front of their places start setting up places around town, considering the park and everything else? Since they canceled the Apple Butter Festival, and we all know that people want the inventory from it, who's the insurance liability? So if something happens in town and the town does not get permission for them to set up, how will it be dealt with?
Basically, they're gonna be on their own. Because, we have to approve whether they set up down there. There's no insurance, there's no Apple Butter Festival, so there's no insurance.
Right.
There's
These
no
are just
insurance.
questions that,
So, I mean, it's if they set up somewhere and they get hurt or somebody gets hurt, it's gonna be their responsibility to take care of. Just like our sidewalks, somebody trips on the sidewalk, gets hurt, it's whoever's property it is.
So you talking about like in the park, setting something up?
they went from the sidewalks like along town to if they set up in the park. Park is not, park is not our issue.
Right.
The
State
park will be, that'll be on them.
That's them, whatever the park comes up
This
with.
is a theoretical, this is just a what if.
Yeah, well,
Well,
and I mean,
it's really
they did
hard.
it last year,
And
when we
remember,
didn't have
I
an
was-
apple butter. They
it's
set
gonna
up
be
stuff.
out 5/20, I do remember that.
They had stuff in town for a couple weekends. They're not wrong in asking the question.
Right.
Okay.
Problem
Happened
is,
before.
they're gonna have to have their own insurance because the festival isn't going on. And I know the chamber isn't gonna provide the insurance that
Right.
they do in the designated area. And we most certainly can't cover the insurance for something like that. So it would be, they need to check and make sure that they have enough liability insurance to, if anything happens. Whether somebody falls while they're in they got a booth or whatever, I mean, that would be their responsibility. So, council agree with that?
I suppose it would be any different than somebody doing a yard sale in
Yeah.
essence.
Yeah, I mean, you take
On
your
their
own
on
liability.
their own on their own
You
property.
take your own liability if somebody falls, then, you know,
I mean, this is just a general question
Right.
of what happened last year. But I mean, like I told Tony, that Victorian house is gonna go up for auction. Nobody owns that at this point. So if somebody set something up there, it's gonna be us. The one beside Hunter's going up for auction.
what's the gray one?
The purple looking gray one over
Oh,
there.
between community garden and, yeah.
Well,
Well, all
basically,
they've got there is sidewalk.
basically,
That's what they're asking. The sidewalk belongs to the town.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
but
if
the
Greg wanted to
homeowner,
go down and sell apples all
Yeah.
weekend.
yeah, but the
he can have
homeowner,
it.
Hunters and
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Let me know.
Auction it later.
Like Carmel covered.
yeah,
I guess the question would be is, if they set up in town, do they have to get a permit from the town to set?
yeah.
So I think that might be actually what the question is there anything the town can do if they're not legally, if they didn't get a permit from the town to keep
they
it
don't
enough
have a permit,
business?
they can't do it.
Right.
Well, yeah, you have to go get them.
But they
Well,
would,
let me just book that in my 7 days a week now.
they always, if it's not the homeowner that's doing it, they have to ask permission
Right.
of the homeowner and make sure the homeowner is okay. I mean, it's just like my wife, she sets up downtown there sometimes.
Yeah.
At Cindy's place down there, but she's on the porch, so, you know, the liability would be on us and Cindy.
I
Whereas
think
the
it's just
town,
a general question.
yeah.
I look for it to happen again.
so, I mean, if it does, I mean, they're responsible. You know, if it's on the sidewalk and they get hurt, it's their responsibility. If it's in front of their business, they will have to pay. You know, I mean, it's just, and they have to get a permit from us that they can set up. So, all right. Okay, cemetery.
We had a meeting today. We met with Matt Pennington from Downstream Strategies to discuss some options that perhaps this company could provide to the cemetery and the town as a whole to address some of the financial needs that we have through grants. So that's something we can look at more with Matt. The only thing is, as I indicated a few minutes ago, October 5th is a tree planting in Greenway. 12 bushes and trees go along the guardrail, the flowering bushes and trees, so they'll add to the beauty of the cemetery. Anyone that's able to volunteer, help us. It was October 5th at 9:30. The Purpose Springs Waterworks crew has kindly agreed to help us to dig the holes for us the day before, assuming there are difficulties with weather or their work, and that will make it easier on the 5th. So that's all I have.
One other thing that we talked about in finance is some labor cost comparisons that we haven't gotten figures together yet on, but labor costs for the cemetery, contracting the work out as opposed to having an employee and like that, but we haven't gotten figures, but it will be an interesting discussion, I think. Hopefully saving
Yeah,
and doing good for the cemetery.
absolutely, absolutely. All right, Public Works.
For those of you that don't know, we're in another flash flood warning. Late tonight into tomorrow, I'm not sure, it was supposed to be 8 tonight till 8 tomorrow morning. So Rodney and crew went around, made sure all the storm drains are ready to go, but they're prepared to, Rodney knows if it starts, he's to come out
Yeah.
before work time, and the other guys know that they're on call for it. So hopefully it will be nothing like last time, but you never can tell.
No,
Okay.
don't know until the clouds open up. So, okay. Ordinance,
As you, Scott.
okay, go for it. You got them.
Huh?
Go for them. You got everything that we have put down, so.
Okay, this is let's see what I've got here, I don't see the first reading thing. Do I have everything I need? Not appreciate it.
Yeah, that is the building code.
That's
The,
the, yeah.
statement.
Okay, the only thing that we're doing, this is the first reading for this. This replaces total chapter 14 in the town of Bath Town Code, buildings and building regulations. With the notice of building or real property improvement, is used by the Maryland County Assessor's Office in the state of West Virginia. This will replace that chapter 14 because we have nothing to do with this anymore. But I don't have the sheet that they would sign for first reading.
Yes, it's,
I didn't do one.
Okay.
We'll have one.
So that should be first reading for that one.
yeah,
What do we,
yeah, we
what do we,
can't do that until we get the ordinance wrote up so that we can put it before council. So we'll have to turn to the next meeting because we're gonna basically rescind the town building code.
just, do you want to table that then till the next meeting?
Because I don't have anything in resolution form, we need to go ahead and put that in resolution
This I
form.
don't think is either.
So we're just, that's basically what we're gonna do, so let's
Let's
table it till,
vote both of
yeah,
these.
so that we can put them
Okay.
both in resolution form and go from there.
Okay,
Okey dokey.
all right.
Madam
Yeah,
Clerk?
that's fine.
Yeah, because we gotta have them, I want everybody to know exactly what we're doing,
No, yeah,
and,
And the other one is just changing the store preservation ordinance,
yeah.
back
but
to,
that's not really in the same, that's not in the format.
Yeah.
What if here's just the same?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's saying what it is
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Right.
We need to have it in
Yeah,
resolution
you're wrong.
form so we can go ahead and vote on it, so everybody
Okay,
knows.
they're both tabled,
Right.
these, and let's come up with the next meeting.
Absolutely. So, okay, waterworks,
I've got three things. First, in your packet, you have before you a non-exclusive power attachment lease agreement addendum. This is for our lease agreement with Morgan Wireless for placement of equipment on the Fairview tower, water tower. Basically, this makes a minor amendment to the current lease agreement that clarifies the initial end term for the agreement and sets up the schedule basically, which is at the end here, for when, for the 2-year, we can do up to 5 2-year extensions. And so this sets out when those extensions would cover. We are basing this on each new council to make a decision as to whether they want to continue it. So this is the opportunity of this council to make that decision as to whether it wants to continue the lease that was started in January of 2020. And then it sets out the pay schedule that will be followed. There's a 5% increase each year for the monthly rent. And so this sets up the pay schedule that would be followed, assuming it's, we approve the extensions going forward as to what we will be getting per month from Morgan Wireless for use of the tower.
Tell us what it is the water company gets per month for the lease.
It's on attachment A on pages 4 and 5.
Okay. Okay.
So are you making this as a motion, Clint?
Well, I'm gonna make two motions.
Oh,
First
okay.
is I'm gonna move, that, I make a motion that the town approve, well, let me say this. The initial agreement started on January 6, 2020, and would have gone initially to January 6, 2022. Morgan Wireless has agreed to end the term of the initial agreement at June 30th, 2021. And we are being asked to agree to the next 2-year term, which would run from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023.
Okay, wait a minute, I'm trying to write this so I get cogent.
say that again, Chris.
Okay.
The ending the first.
Where
lease
they've
will be-
agreed to end the first term of the period of the lease early, as of June 30th of this year, 2021.
It would have been December 31st.
Well, it would have been January 6th, 2022.
All right.
And so we are, basically, I'm making a motion that to approve accept the first extension under the lease agreement for 2 years that would run from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2023.
Okay, do we have to end the first term and get rid of that before we move into?
Well, this amends, this
that
part of what the
amends
addendum
everything?
does is sets up, amends the agreement so that it meets these timeframes.
They're all gonna be based on fiscal year,
Right.
starting now.
Yes,
Got it.
correct.
Okay,
And the 2-year extensions will be based on each new council as it begins.
okay, motion to approve amended lease agreement.
Well, I think there's two things. One is well, I guess is to accepting the amended lease agreement. You're also
You're
accepting the 2-year extension.
Or you at least have to do the agreement first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my initial motion is to accept is to accept the agreement as presented. And then, so let's do that.
Second,
Wait a minute.
accept the amended
The
agreement.
amended lease agreement as presented.
Yes, to approve for signature, as presented and approve it for signature. Authorize it for, signature by the water.
I love my job, you know that?
Yeah.
Just thought I'd add that.
Presented. Sure, okay, got it.
I want to make sure you want to sleep.
Here, hey,
Yeah, I don't want these basic.
I'm strong now.
I know.
Okay, well, was that a motion?
That's my motion.
Well, I'm
and
seconding
Beth
it just to
seconded
get it over
Beth seconded.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Yes, second, yes.
Thank God.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to accept, let me read this, to amended lease agreement as presented for signatures. Any discussion?
Don't you dare.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay.
All
Done.
right.
Now,
I make a motion that based on that new addendum, that the new current council approve a 2-year, the first initial, a 2-year extension of the agreement to run from July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022.
I will second that.
okay, we have a motion, a second, but have a motion and a second on the floor to amend, is that what we put there?
Well, to approve.
To approve
Yeah.
the new,
Extension.
the extension of the payment from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023.
2021.
2021, I'm sorry.
I'll make it look good.
Make it look good, okay.
Okay.
As long as you make it look good,
Make it
okay.
look-
Okay,
Those
20
are on,
A
those
and
numbers
B.
are on here.
Yeah,
A and B,
okay.
A and B,
Yeah, Susan, it's all on here.
A and B,
Okay.
H5.
I will copy this exactly.
All right. Anybody, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
All
All
right.
right, this is the time that comes.
I'm not done.
No.
I'm not done.
I can
Oh,
see in his eyes. he's
geez.
not done.
Come on
That's
now.
only item number one.
Two. An update on the Waterline extension project. We have made some headway, and all the right of ways have been addressed and obtained. And we have
Really, all of them?
yes, and we have a process that's been, and I will say this is tentative, but this is the process that we look to be going forward with. That we will advertise in the Morgan Messenger on Wednesday, September 22nd and 29th. The advertisement will be due a few days prior, that's but we plan to advertise 22nd, 29th. There'll be a non-mandatory, but highly encouraged pre-bid conference at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, October 12th, starting at Town Hall. There will be closed questions at noon on Tuesday, October 26th, and open bids at Town Hall on Thursday, November 4th at 2 p.m. Is what we are looking at going forward with. The schedule that's been presented to us by Steve.
October twenty-fourth.
at Thrasher. Let's see, up to close questions at noon on October 26th. And then open bids at Town Hall on Thursday, November 4th. At 2 p.m. So, how's that? We're moving along there.
Yeah,
We're finally
It's
gonna
been a
go,
long time coming.
go out for bid and things, so yeah, so that's that. Any questions on that?
Mm-mm.
All right, and just the third thing is our next meeting will be the first Monday in October, October 4th. At 4:30.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank goodness. So this part of the meeting, anybody that has anything else that needs to come before council,
I have an invite, I was supposed to invite you all to the grand opening and ribbon cutting at the Boys and Girls Club Saturday morning at 10 to 12, and Stacy was like, invite them, so Stacy wants to invite all of you.
And it's part of the Jeep
Yeah.
thing.
It is, but you have to send me a
Celebration
message to invite you guys, the town itself.
Where's their new building? Where is it?
Oh, the new building is by the Canary.
Yeah.
Where the
Oh, yeah.
wellness center used to be there.
Uh-huh.
I'm on that board of directors also, and we bought that whole south side of the building, so they
Yep.
own the doctor's office upstairs
hold
too.
on yours.
And, so it's a big deal, you know, it's a nice facility. It will be good.
She's one of those, she texted me, I do it also, I get in trouble, so you are invited.
Yeah, and she's very active.
She is.
She's very good with this, isn't she?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Common consent
Common consent.
meeting?
Yeah,
How long do they start with that practical activity?
Always.